Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. In this week's show, we are going to recap GrappleFest 8 and the BJJ Fanatics GP that was Gordon Ryan versus Pat Downey and the 170-pound tournament. We are also going to preview Fight to Win 137 in Denver, Colorado, and talk a little bit about what I have listed in the events list here as Grappling Industries Gordon Ryan Open, which is really just the Grappling Industries Nogi Heavyweight title at the Arnold Classic. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, joined by co-host
Emil.
How you doing, Emil?
I'm doing great, man.
Your voice just got all messed up.
That would be the Taco Bell that we just ate.
Thanks,
Fucking my
Taco
voice.
Bell.
Yeah, this episode of Grappling Rewind Podcast brought to you by Taco Bell.
And Imodium,
Yeah.
for other reasons. So before we get into all that, let's talk about a little bit of news. So apparently Michael Musumeci versus Herbert Santos is back on. It is one of those like Khabib Ferguson, like I'll believe it when they're in the cage and I see it. There's been a lot of speculation on like which Herbert is going to show up. If it's the, black belt world champion Herbert, or is it the guy that like pick and choose your Herbert moment when he didn't show up and did weird stuff.
A friend of ours just sent like a screen cap of Flow Grappling like Instagram account where like evidently Orlando Sanchez was weighing in and had some not so nice things to say about Herbert.
Oh really? Orlando was
Yeah, he's been real spicy in the comments. But yeah, I mean
that's honestly a super compelling matchup. If it gets made, like that is a matchup they can really test Musumeci.
I was about to say, if they wanted someone to test Mikey's ability to handle someone that's large, explosive, world champ.
Yeah,
Herbert is you couldn't
he's
ask
also
for a
not
better
too gigantic that it's going to be a boring match because the guy's just too big. I think it's a really good matchup. I hope that we see it.
We see when Herbert is on, he's not afraid to move either. Like he's there's nothing worse than someone that has a potential for dynamic matchup, and then they just like sit and hunker down.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see that from Herbert very much. Yeah.
So, also, Who's Number One has been announced for Austin, Texas. I actually don't have a date for that. I was going to put it on the events list before, and I have not got a chance to do that. It's exciting. Looking.
How frequently are they looking to do that? Like,
I think quarterly.
Okay.
Which would be awesome because again, like the last event, we kind of thought was going to go one way, completely messed up the rankings, and whenever we talk about rankings, it's always. We place a lot of emphasis on rankings because it gives an additional framework and sort of creates storylines for compelling matchups that is important in the professional space in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, Who's Number One, of course, being Roberto Jimenez's debut at Black Belt where he upset Keenan Cornelius. And speaking of which, Roberto Jimenez is on a tear right now. And the Kansas City IBJJF Open submitted...
Was it Kansas City?
Yeah.
Okay.
Submitted Felipe Andrew. Submitted him.
So the guy that just tapped Keenan at Europeans with a triangle, Roberto Jimenez, like basically baramboloed him to the back. And then you were talking about, I thought it was a bow and arrow choke, and you talked about it's like a variation.
Well, yeah. So it's it's a little bit hard to tell from the video that Flo actually has of the submission itself because it's a little bit from the back. But basically, Roberto is on Felipe's back. And it looks like he's straight on at first, and then he finishes a little bit off to the side. So it definitely could be a bow and arrow choke, but it's a really awesome finish.
It's some sort of collar choke from the back, but you talked about it, his head is like right on Felipe.
So
he doesn't make that big angle to the side like we traditionally see in the bow and arrow.
The bow and arrow usually, we see the way it's traditionally taught, you're perpendicular to the person's torso, and
this might be just termed collar choke from the back.
Right. This, it looks like Roberto has an angle a little bit, but he's staying ear to ear with Felipe, and I think it's a beautiful finishing sequence because there's no room for Felipe to try to alleviate any of the tightness from the bow and arrow. Yeah. Like it's just it's a really nice gets the tap, really nice finish. Jesus, where's his ceiling?
He's in other matchup news at Fight 2. Actually, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this in the preview section of the show, Fight 137. He is facing Hulk.
Yeah.
And so towards the end of the show, the preview section, we'll talk about that matchup. But dude, he is now debuted at black belt and showing that he can compete against the best black belts in the world.
And not just hang with them, but threaten them too.
I cannot wait to talk about this matchup later in the show.
So I'm surprised. I'm shocked here because we saw I remember Roberto's brown belt sort of career as being a little bit like rocky. At times, like there were times when he was really hot, and other times where he was a little bit cold.
Yeah.
And now he's on a streak, man. He's just killing it at black
We're
belt.
seeing a lot of guys like start to make that next level jump. And it's been really interesting because typically, at least, we've now been doing this show long enough where I can recall what guys looked like a couple years ago. And it's like, and guys that I sort of didn't write off, but never thought they would get to that level. And a lot of guys we've seen continue to develop their game and continue to start to, encroach upon the world stage. And it's really cool to see a guy like Roberto, we've covered since Brown, coming into the black belts and like looking really good.
Yeah.
In other news, BJJ Stars has now announced more of their matchups. They're doing another pay-per-view tournament on April 25th. We got Adam Rudzinski versus Leandro Lau. Actually, we're talking about Adam's match versus John Blank here at GrappleFest later in the show. We have Herber Santos versus Rodrigo Ribeiro. I messed up that name. We have Theon Davies versus Bianca Basilio.
Hell yeah.
That is going to be a fun matchup. We have Bones.
That's an ADCC. Oh, no. Oh, wait, yeah, it is ADCC, isn't it?
I always get these mixed up.
So,
Did they meet at Polaris as well?
That I can't remember, but I know Bianca was the one who took the championship at the division.
Yes, in toe hold, and it was a footlock.
Yep,
over Fionn.
Yep.
So excited for that.
Yeah.
Also on the card we have Devante Bones Johnson versus Gaudio. It's gonna be a fire matchup.
Yeah.
We also have
hopefully Gaudio can. I feel like he's been in a little bit of a tailspin recently. Like
aside from the Europeans win he just had.
He's also had some prominent losses as well.
And he got food poisoning before Kasai had to pull out Kasai.
Yeah.
He goes back and forth.
Yeah.
Again, he's a guy I like to see. That's like a really tough matchup for Devante, but we've seen really good things from Devante. He's open to school now, so excited for that matchup. Excited to preview it later in April probably. We have Tomoyoshi Hashimoto versus Bruno Mafasine. Interesting to see Bruno kind of still in there, still active, not retired, definitely not retired. We have Gustavo Batista versus Felipe Penna.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hamilo Bahal versus Claudio Calazans. This is a rematch. Tommy Langacker versus Zeki Behance. Levi Jones-Leary versus Gabriel Argis. And your boy, Kenan Duarte versus Nicholas Mergali.
Oh, damn.
You haven't seen the card yet.
I haven't seen the card yet.
I just brought the news.
This is dope. Well, I'm excited about Levi Jones-Leary and
Gabriel
Argis. That's going to be a really good match as well. But, Kainan versus Mergali. That's just going to be fucking dope.
So they've met at black belt twice now.
I think it might be 3 times. I know Mergali, I think, has a sub over Kainan.
At Brazil, Kainan's first year at black belt, and then the BJJ Spider BJJ Invitational was that super contested finals match that some people gave it to Mergali, some gave it to Duarte. Like, this is a good matchup.
Yeah, that's a dope ass matchup.
So I can't wait to like pull some footage before that. I think that'll be one of the matches that in April we'll pull some footage for and actually do a little bit of like more expanded preview research for.
Yep.
So yeah, that looks dope. It's fun. You want to talk about this? I actually didn't want to talk about this.
Hold up, real quick. It just occurred to me. BJJ Stars allowed Erberth back. Wasn't BJJ Stars where he tried to fight the Penna brothers? He tried to club punch the Penna brothers. I can't believe they're inviting him back. How the fuck did that happen?
Man, I'm not surprised.
Well, are you? Well,
not really.
I don't know. That's a little surprising to me, man.
Man, occasionally you gotta fight Felipe Penna. Like, I feel you. Like, occasionally he's beating you. You gotta you get upset. Your brother calls your name or something, and you gotta dive bomb off the stage and get a great clip for social media as Josh goes deep on the segment.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Did we bring Josh in specifically to get his hot take on that? I think
Josh wanted to come on the show that week,
and I remember just being
talk about that match because I remember at the beginning of that segment we were previewing it, and Josh goes, "Fuck you, I'm gonna cut you off. That shit was wild," and just goes in, and I clipped it for social media, and it was hilarious. I gotta find that clip.
Yeah, I gotta listen to that. Yeah, that was outstanding.
So another news I didn't want to talk about, but Emil wanted.
I want to talk about that shit. That shit is hilarious. But regardless, we got some other stuff to move on to. Specifically, Eddie Bravo announced that he is considering putting on an event that's entirely EBI overtime.
So I saw this, and I thought it was an April Fool's joke. And then I looked at the calendar. I was like, oh, it's March 1st, not April 1st. And I went, is that when that holiday is? Nope, that's not a joke. That's a real.
So once Maine
thing.
figured out what month he was in,
bro,
decided to get real upset.
That is a recurrent theme in my life that I can't do times and dates, and I'm super bad at like dates and months.
Well, regardless, Maine weighed in on Reddit through our official account. Had a really great post summarizing the shit, which is basically overtime is more or less garbage. If you take a match and you do not have a decisive victory one way or another, and you tack on more time in a completely different rule set, you're wasting everyone's time. Now, that's just broadly speaking about overtime. As someone who watches an ass ton of jiu-jitsu.
We watch an unhealthy amount of jiu-jitsu.
We watch a ton of jiu-jitsu.
This is a little beyond the Grappling Rewind like standard thing. This is I think Emil and I's frustration with a lot of the events that we cover that use the overtime format, because it's
super like it's not. I've
matches.
never watched overtime and had it be satisfying.
So using it as an example. So this weekend we saw Roberto Jimenez take Felipe Andrews back and finish him.
Well, okay.
Super excited. Okay.
Before we get to that, we're first going to talk broadly about overtime.
Well, I don't want to bitch too long about this.
I do, man. I want to get into this. There's two things, right? The first is, again, you are completely changing the rule set. And so where I'm okay with added time is like ADCC format
adds time.
because they add time. It's the same rule set. They're just adding more time.
And they don't even reset, do they? Do they reset every time?
I'm pretty sure they reset.
Okay, so it starts back on the feet.
Yeah. That's okay with me. If you need more time to determine a victor in whatever criteria you are, that's fine, especially if it's an exciting rule set like ADCC, okay?
Right.
That's fine. But where you start to change the rules, that gets frustrating. When your rule set, this is the next problem that I have with it, when your rule set gifts someone, this is the way Maine puts it, when your rule set gifts someone a dominant position that they did not earn, and they're going for submission or ride time, it's immensely unsatisfying. And so what we've seen a few times now are people who get their asses whooped during regulation. If there were any scoring systems in the vast majority of jiu-jitsu promotions, the person that ends up winning would have lost, right? Like,
yeah,
but and then in overtime they end up being really specialized to it.
Right.
It's
so
just
what I was talking about. What for me at least, why it's not interesting is Roberto Jimenez takes Felipe Andrews back this weekend.
right.
And then finishes. It's an amazing moment. It's really cool to watch. Had Roberto Jimenez just started on Felipe Andrews' back and gotten the finish, that probably wouldn't have been a news for us.
Right.
Like if it was on a broadcast event that like had the criteria for the events we cover, it would have been okay. Finishes him in overtime. Let's move on to the next thing. It's not it. It is not exciting because there's no ability that told us that Roberto Jimenez can earn that position and actually do that when the odds are not, when he's not given the position. So it takes away all the specialness and all the interest for me as a viewer of it, because it doesn't have that storyline of, he's able to pass his guard, get around his thing, he's able to get him out, then take the back, and then finish.
Right.
It's missing all of that. It's just like he started with the arm and he armbarred him. We're one step away from starting like in the rear naked choke with it locked in, and then figuring out like who has the best last second defense or who can hold that position the longest. It's like it doesn't do it for me as a viewer. And I hope that I'm incorrect as always, and that the event turns out great, and that it furthers jiu-jitsu, and I misunderstand what this is, and I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But
the way it's been presented, and
with combat jiu-jitsu, and like we've seen this a couple times now, I am less than hopeful, but I hope I am wrong.
Yeah.
So, you got anything else to me? I don't want to keep belaboring a point because it's always really fun to listen to us bitch about overtime.
But yeah, it's something that we brought up a few times. So,
so that does it for the news segment. Let's on to the previews.
Let's do it.
Recaps. So one actual piece of news. Actually, we just finished the show and we've kind of gone back now. As we were recording, it came out in news now that potentially Substars, the big card in Miami that happened a couple weeks ago, that featured Cyborg, Lovato, Gordon Ryan, Tex Johnson, Nick Rodriguez, JZ Cavalcante, Nikki Ryan, Jasmine Rocha, a ton of other guys on there. Apparently, a lot of those guys are not getting paid for that event.
So Grappling Insider just broke this story.
The article is actually forward dated, so it looks like it was actually supposed to come out tomorrow, March 3rd.
Yeah,
we're recording this March 2nd.
That might have to do with someone traveling, like whoever's like posting it might be traveling in a weird time zone or something like
Grappling
that.
Insider is a UK publication, so right now it's 9 o'clock our time, 9 o'clock p.m., so it makes sense that potentially that actually has been released on March 3rd UK time, so maybe it's not as weird as I thought it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. Kind of the same thing we've seen before from things like Metamoris and a couple other promotions that we've seen, become defunct as athletes don't get paid. Typically, when behind the curtain here, when we go to events, the event finishes, and then all the athletes line up in the back and get their checks at the time of the event. So I'm not sure if Substars did it that way or they're doing it a different way, but it's just coming out now that we don't have anything more on this story as it develops, but you'll see Reddit threads, you'll see other stuff coming out. It is an interesting development in the pro grappling world.
So Grappling Insider in their story posted a screenshot of a direct message on Instagram from what is apparently the Substars account apologizing for not being able to pay.
Looks like a portion of the money is going to come in April, like something like 10% potentially, if they're going to pay out to the athletes. So
yeah, and they, as a way of explanation, they said that basically that the pay-per-view sales were very low. They didn't make much money.
It just couldn't cover. It could. I assume that they didn't generate the revenue that they were looking to generate with that event. We've heard this before. Just pay-per-views, it's very hard to get people to purchase a pay-per-view, and so if they were banking on the pay-per-view selling really well and it didn't, you're left in a gulf. And actually, they said that it may potentially going to be the defunking, or defunking is the right word.
Basically, it's the end of Substars.
And the end of Substars potentially. In that, if you run out of money, that.
Yeah, it's a shame. The only thing I'll say is these promotions appear to be operating on a gamble with a pay-per-view and not having financial backing to pay at least for the first event, and that sucks for the athletes. I feel I don't want promotions to fail, but my heart goes out to the athletes who put the time in, put the training in, risk their fucking health and well-being.
Knees.
Yep, for our entertainment. And Maine and I both purchased this.
Yep, I think a couple of guys on the team did. I know you did. I know I did. I think one or two of the guys on the team, because we talked about it live in the chat there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that they get paid, but it looks like they're not going to. So that is for the news segment. Sorry to end on a downer. So on to our recap of GrappleFest 8. This one was headlined by John Thor Blank versus Adam Wardzinski and co-mained by Dante Leon versus Tyra Tolo. What do you want to start with this one?
This is just outstanding card. Let's start with the top. Lightning submission. John Thor Blank submitting Adam Wardzinski by inside heel hook. Damn, dude.
John gets underneath you. It's a bad day for all involved.
Yeah, I think he definitely proved his strength and ability when he submitted Rustam Chisev at ADCC.
Yeah, that was a big kind of shot of the bow, hey, I belong here.
Yeah.
I'm a real danger. I get to your legs.
Right. If he gets a grip, he has the power.
Yeah, that was really evident here because I really liked his entry here. You saw John, Adam and John both did really interesting things here I thought was nice. You saw John obviously going for the legs and going under and trying to do that inversion, pushing on Adam's far side shoulder. And you saw Wardzinski doing a really good job of getting his weight back and fighting the hands and pushing over. But John is just so strong and has good technique. He's able to push Wardzinski over and then just inverts. And what I thought was really interesting is it's super early in the match when this happens. Under 2 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Super early. So they are both dry.
Yeah.
They're both not slippery, not sweaty, and you see John roll for this heel hook, and there is absolutely no movement on the knee line. And I thought it was really interesting too. It reminds me of the same way that Palahares finishes the heel hook, not the holding on too long, but just the way where the entire torso and upper body are all one motion, and they just rotate in unison at the same time, almost over the crown of the skull and the shoulder, whereas John's not trying to roll over the shoulder, he's just getting straight and flat out and just spinning, and it puts such quick torque on the heel hook. You see Adam basically do a stream tap, and then just...
You know what was fascinating about this finish too was there was a moment where, so it's an inside heel hook, but there was a moment where Thor was torquing the foot almost like the motion of a toe hold.
Oh, when he had Adam's leg on his chest.
Yeah.
Right before he passes it over. Yeah. He you see, and if you look at Adam's knee there, he actually starts to turn Adam's knee out, and that is a good indicator for how strong Thor is. They call him Thor for a reason. That's how the dude got the nickname. He is built. I've stood next to him. He's got extra biceps on him. He's a built dude, and he has Adam's leg, and he just turns it on his chest over and starts to torque the knee from that position with no knee line control. He has knee line control, but with no upper control with just the hands alone. And I was like, dude is diesel.
Yeah, that's exactly what I noticed too. It's an impressive manipulation of the leg without first gluing the leg to the torso and twisting your torso.
And having it turn, it was a straight leg, where it's historically really, really hard to get any torque to twist at all, and John's able to start the torque there, and he passed the leg over, and that's all she wrote. And they roll out of balance, kind of, but I think John already was locked in on it before they went out of bounds, and it was one of those maybe reset, but Adam didn't really protest too much, so I was like, okay, it was good. This is a fun matchup. I think John is now the champion for GrappleFest at the under... what division was it? It was under 90 or under 80. Under 90, I think, was this match, because the Cade versus Ash was under 7. I'm getting my titles wrong. They talked about John and Adam fighting Craig Jones, and that Craig Jones is now the weight class above, and both guys moving down because they just were more comfortable at that weight. Commentary did an awesome job at this event.
Yeah.
Man, the GrappleFest guys come, professional commentary. They talked about the match. They talked about the context for all the matches at the beginning. They knew the guy's history. They talked about Ash Williams being a 2-division Polaris champion. I really loved the GrappleFest commentary in this one, and commentary is an underrated thing, and so I'm really appreciative it's done well. These are two guys that we've seen rising up and looking better and better, both on ADCC, and both guys that are in a big way sort of punching up recently.
Yep.
And I am really excited to see what Adam and what Thor continue to bring. Again, I think we'll see them both on GrappleFest. John's now the champion. I'm curious to see who they will match him up with. Was Dante Leon versus Ty Rotolo, is that the same weight class?
They were at, I want to say 70 kilograms as well. Dante and...
So okay. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
I think that was the title eliminator for that belt, but I could be incorrect. I know John was at under 88 for ADCC. I thought Dante was under 77, but I always get his weight wrong because he fluctuates and he'll jump between so many weight classes.
Oh, here we go. I got it.
Yep.
So we have Adam Wardzinski and John Blank were 90 kilograms. Ty Rotolo, Dante Leon, 80 kilograms.
Okay, so they have the title. That was the title eliminator for that belt. I forget who has that belt right now, but they excited to see who they bring out to fight. They may do the belt for the GrappleFest on the Third Coast versus GrappleFest card. I'm not sure for that.
So, awesome quick submission. Definitely go back and check it out. Next up, we have Dante Leon defeating Ty Rotolo by decision in the title eliminator match at 80 kilograms.
So, you called it.
Dude, Dante is a motherfucker. Holy shit. I think the commentary put it best, a lot more eloquently than I just did. He's a complete grappler. Dante is a complete grappler. He will beat you in every single phase of jiu-jitsu. It's insane.
From his wrestling to his bottom game to his top game to his passing to his back control. Man, he looked good. I mean, Rotolo looked good too.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. This was a match this is a match that you saw Dante forced to fight in all of the areas because Rotolo could push him and make him work in all of those areas. But it was interesting here from the tie-ups. You saw Dante really implementing his wrestling, and everyone thinks he's a wrestler, but he's not really. One interesting thing I thought here was he got a body lock, and then he transitions to a violin arm lock from standing and tries to bring Ty down with that. He has some nice dynamism on the feet that put guys in. If you're not as game as Ty, you're not as kind of ready for it, will put a lot of guys in danger that aren't on the level of Ty Rotolo.
Absolutely. This is maybe the first time I also saw Ty getting a little flustered. He was reacting certainly and pushing back hard at times when Dante was not taking him down. Dante certainly takes him down a few times, doesn't establish control every single time, but enough to be yo, I'm here, and definitely has that mental victory aspect where he's starting to big dog a little bit. And let's talk about the last 30 seconds because this match goes to decision, obviously, but the last 30 seconds sort of is a great microcosm for how the match went.
And it was a close match throughout. I think Dante definitely was ahead on the scorecards in the judge's decision, but this last 30 seconds, like, and the commentary said it too, really cements it. Was like, okay, this is definitely Dante's match.
So Dante starts a knee cut pass and is able to get purchase against Ty's guard, and he gets a headlock. And this pass sequence is so bizarre. It's amazing. I haven't seen really people use this that much, but it's like a front headlock, and Dante started walking sort of like a clock arm all the way up and around and ultimately to the back of Ty Ruotolo.
Yeah.
So
super controlled. It was like a quick back take, but like controlled and like has really good leverage and like control as he walks around to get there.
Yeah, I don't know if this particular back take has a name, so just go and watch the last 30 seconds of this match.
Honestly, go back, watch the match.
Like, the match is actually really
you're gonna
overall
see a
really
lot from both these guys. And you've seen a lot from both these guys in the future. This is definitely a match to keep an eye on as a how these guys are matching up, because I would assume both the guys are super. I think Dante's like 24. Ty is, I think, 17. We're going to see these guys match up again numerous times in the weight class. So watch this as a match of things in years to come. Yeah, super impressive. Dante flattens Ty out in the back. I thought he had the rear naked choke at one point, and then Ty does a super good job of fighting the hands down and like ends up with Dante on his back at the end when they call time. Dante gets the decision. There was one other really interesting moment here is when Dante had a heel hook on Ty Ruotolo, and they started to roll.
Yeah. So it's a nasty inside heel hook, and Ty does the correct thing, which is to roll
he's rolling to the right side.
It.
He's trying to free the knee line and push away and sort of like not running man, but he's not doing the thing where you grab the hands and fight. He's like actively spinning and like turning and trying to free the knee line.
Right. And they roll out of bounds, and they obviously stop the fighters, and then they reset them standing. And that was just, Maine and I had a brief discussion just now. Like, how do you do that? Like, what is the...
Because GrappleFest is a sub only.
Right.
So there are no points. So typically in IBJJF or UAE or a lot of other promotions...
There's a recourse for it. What's the recourse in a...
You roll out with a sub.
Yep.
And you can't recreate the sub. You can't put a guy back in with no momentum in the middle of the mat with a heel hook. We've seen that before. The guy gets his leg blown out. So you got to start him standing again. But in points formats, you would score 2 points for that. In a sub-only format like GrappleFest, how does that weigh in the judge's mind? It kind of made us talk about an interesting kind of scoring scenario where is the guy rewarded in the judge's eyes for that and getting a positional reset? Because that mat is 60 feet longer. That very well could have gone either way. Ty Ruotolo escapes it, or Dante is able to lock it up and change that. Like, they were in the middle of that defense, and it looked like Dante was a little deeper, but those guys are super high level. There was just not enough space to work and see how it was actually going to play out.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I mean, hey, maybe one thing that you do is like you reset in the referee's position or something like that.
So it's not a neutral position. The guy going for the sub. Yeah, it's interesting. Like it's. I wasn't mad about the reset. Like, it's what you do, but it was interesting because how much does that weigh for Dante here, given that he's attacking a sub as they go out of bounds in a submission only? It was interesting. So
yeah, but overall, amazing match. Dante just tremendous all around. And Ty, of course, also showing he's got a ton of potential in a lot of places. Yeah. He's got a ton of skill in a lot of places.
We've historically seen him like kind of struggle a little bit with the leg locks against the high-level guys, and Dante's definitely known as a leg lock. I mean, Dante's known all around, but we've seen Dante. I mean, you've got Canuto. Like, he had Canuto in a deep knee bar heel hook combo, and he never got as deep in open space aside from the one they rolled off the mat on Ty's leg stream. We saw Ty going for leg locks here, and then Dante immediately counter. I think once or twice, Ty would drop for a leg lock from like a leg passing position, and Dante would immediately turn it into like a back take.
Yep.
And I think there was one moment where I saw Ty get a little, not overzealous is the right word, but a little like, I'm going to be young and just flash this sub super fast because I'm so quick. And you saw Devante immediately recognize that Tai was falling back, able to tech up and out and go for like a crab ride back take on Tai off of that, like Tai getting a little like beat you with speed there.
Yeah.
Super interesting awareness. Really, really great like match. Some great sequences to pull from. Do you have anything else on that match? I mean, it was a lot of fun.
It's amazing.
I love seeing both those guys compete. Both those guys bring it. So
yeah, outstanding match. So next up, we have Ty's twin brother, Cade Rotolo, defeating Ash Williams by decision.
At a weight class down.
Yeah.
So literally 10 kilograms less. And they talk about Cade's a little smaller than Ty. Ty is grown up more and just become the bigger of the two brothers. So it's interesting that they've now kind of made this, I think, more permanent shift of being a full weight class apart. I think at the last GrappleFest card, they were both a weight class apart, but I think we're definitely going to see them like continue to stay a weight class apart. So for ADCC 2021, that makes me curious. We're going to have two different brothers in two different divisions now.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe at 88, maybe at 99.
So this particular match, Cade looked awesome. Like he took down Ash a couple of times, had really dominant passing, great footlock attempts. My favorite sort of approach that Cade took here was that leg pin pass.
Yeah.
So the way this occurs is like
they have a whole DVD on this, by the way.
Yeah.
With I think Fanatics.
Yep.
They did a whole series on like their leg pin.
This is an
system.
AOJ Atos flavored passing that we're seeing a lot.
Yeah.
I actually really like this pass a lot. I cannot do it anywhere near this level clearly, but like it's a tremendous pass. So basically, if someone is in seated guard and someone is standing passing, what you can do is you could just literally take your foot, if you're the passer, and just step on one of your opponent's legs.
Yeah, like the inside of the shin, technically, and you just pin it there with your body weight.
Yep,
and
that's it.
The funny thing that Cade and both of Rotolo brothers do is you see them step, and then they transition. They will step both legs on your leg for a second.
Yep.
And so they're basically standing completely on one of your legs as they transition. The wind basically, in effect, wind shear wiping the leg over, but instead of flapping over it, they stand on your leg for a second and then continue to pass.
And this is it's a great technique. The best sort of description for why this is so good is like it basically allows you to take one of their limbs out of the equation without committing like one of your arms.
It kind of deals with one of the problems that the passer has is that the guy in the bottom has four limbs to sort of work with.
This is the Danaher refrain about like I don't always agree with it, but like I do think that overall philosophy works here because you take one of the limbs out of the equation without really occupying one of your arms, and that's awesome. It's an amazing pass. It's a great sort of long distance pass too.
Yeah,
because you don't.
And but the Rotolos are so long. Like that's primarily they're not. I don't feel like we're gonna see either of those guys develop into like really heavy, hard nosed pressure passers. Like they are flash pass, quick, get around the legs, like leg pin. That's sort of the passing style that we see them implement most of the time. So this works really, really well for that sort of passing style.
Absolutely. So great match.
Yep. There was two things that I think were really interesting. There was two moments in the match where you saw Cade take like a inferior position and then just start wrenching a toe hold on Ash. And I was looking at like, that's bullshit. And then you'd see Cade like not give up on it and just keep turning over. And Ash would go, fuck, I got to deal with this fucking toe hold right now. And like have to give up the position or go. And there was 2 points in the match. And I went, that's really interesting. Because Ash Williams is, again, another complete grappler. Like he knows where they are. And Cade kept grabbing these toe holds. Or one of them was like a deep Estima lock. And you saw like him just not get disincentivized by Ash not reacting and just continue to fight the position out. And Ash have to go, he's really going to make me fight this toe hold, isn't he? Okay, and then have to give up. And it was really interesting to have that level of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Just like tenacity.
I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah. Tenacity on these toe holds. I think this is a very, very close match, and I think I've only rewatched it one time. There's a good argument for either grappler to take this.
Yeah, I think Cade took it.
Yeah, I think definitely those two pieces there, like deep, they put Ash in a deep submission, like quickly, are definitely help his case for taking the victory here. So now he's the under 70 kilogram champion, and I'm curious to see who GrappleFest will throw at him.
Hell yeah. Next up, we have Ben Hodgkinson submitting Ed Engamels by rear naked choke.
This was a really fun match. Both guys are like going at it, and basically ends in a Kimura back take to the rear naked choke. A really fun match, like we've seen Ben before, we've seen Ed before on the GrappleFest stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was there's a lot of movement in this match. Not overly not scrambly, not just like the kind of like
it wasn't
spazzy
movement
stuff.
for movement's sake.
Yeah.
It was both guys going through sequences and attacking and having enough control where they have legitimate attempts on stuff,
Yep.
but not control where it's like, okay, I'm going to only sit in this knee cup position for the next 15 seconds until I slide by and then like lay on you. It was, I'm going to work, and kind of both guys pushed a pace that was like really fun to watch.
Hell yeah. Next up, we have Centuria Lilius submitting Stuart Cooper by arm triangle.
Dude, gets him in like the last minute. He goes from the back position and then he comes up on top and does that nice like transition where you go from back with the arm, trapping it, gets to the arm triangle, finishes on top. A lot of standing wrestling in this match, but like really nice sub from, I can never say Centuria's last name. Lilius. That always like throws me off.
Next up, we have Jack Grant hitting a flying armbar on John McGuire.
In Nogi.
In like
the first 30 seconds of the match, too.
Yeah.
It was just like, tie up. Oh, better win. And he throws it, gets him down, locks it out.
Yeah, there's like, it's a textbook flying armbar. Like,
yeah, and he doesn't break his neck on it.
No.
Like we've seen previously in Nogi recently. Yeah, it's a really great technique, really great flying armbar. 30. I love when you see the walkout, like clicking through to watch match footage, and then you click, and then it's another match, and you're like, okay, that was like 2.5 minutes. Why is there another match now? It's like, oh, it must be a quick sub there, and you go back, and you're like, yep, there it is. So those are always fun. Next match, we have Robert Deagle defeating Jay Butler via injury. It looks like we've seen Robert before. We've actually commentated his matches, I think, once or twice at SCGC.
Yep.
Dude is a dope, kind of unknown leg locker out of Henzo's, and we're starting to see him finally like on the main card of stuff looking better and better. He has a really nice entry into the legs here, and then starts to like slide through, basically going to like a heel hook, and it's an entry we've seen from Deagle a lot. If you've ever seen a Deagle highlight reel, this is an entry he uses repeatedly, and it puts like a really weird strain on the knee as he's entering, and it gets tight before he even goes for it. And it looks like he pulls Jay's leg, and Jay's leg kind of just gives. And it was really hard to tell and figure out exactly kind of what was going on here. But the commentary said it like, he just basically pulled it and it popped. And so, like, that's it. Hopefully, we get to see Rob out again on GrappleFest. Like, I would love to see him, featured on another GrappleFest card, especially because the leg entry here looked super tight and amazing. And, I would love to see like more of his match.
Oh yeah.
It sucks to see injury. I hope Jay is
hope-
good. And he limped a little bit after it, which sucks, but
hopefully it's nothing major.
Yep.
So next up we have Owen O'Flanagan defeating Sebastian Siska by judge's decision. Owen Livesey defeats Alberto Gonzalez via judge's decision. Paul Lukowski defeats Adam Ellis. Ellis Younger defeats Chris Walsh by rear naked choke, and Ben Hills submits Stefan Petrov by triangle armbar.
So on to the undercard results for GrappleFest 8.
We have Omar Frederick submitting Steve Henshaw by triangle, Jordan Cooper submitting Harry Bennett by Kimura, Paul Webb submitting Rob Platt, Jack Tiley defeating Liam Alpang by knee bar, Ruben Angeli defeating Shane Curtis via judge's decision, Marina Mavru defeating Lisa Major by rear naked choke, Aaron Jordan submitting Charlie Colley by reverse triangle, Jack Fletcher submitting Declan Williams by guillotine, Josh Roberts submitting Ryan Bassett by rear naked choke, Sarah Greenwood submits Mel Wright by armbar, Jamie Shattuck defeats Cal Rawson by judges' decisions, Aiden Pinder defeats Tyrese Cunliffe by rear naked choke, Jack Brown submits Carl Conway by heel hook, Kevin McCallan defeats Charlie Johnstone by judges' decision, Danny Stirk defeats Ken Ning by judges' decision, Thomas Bros defeats Samuel Yeselyurt by judge's decision. Jack Rimmer submits Alfie Parker.
So this card had like almost a 70+% submission rate overall. Main card, I think Jiu-Jitsu Times has a really cool write-up here. They have the submissions and the percentages, which I love, by the way. They're doing more like little like metric graphics in their articles now. Big fan. Submissions, main card, 67% submission rate. Okay, 33% decision. Undercard, 70% submission rate, 30% decision. Like,
Hell yeah.
that's a good card. I like seeing that. So that does it for GrappleFest 8. The whole video is up now. I think they're starting to put out the matches. A lot of really good stuff to watch here and digest. Go watch it. So on to a recap of the BJJ Fanatics 170-pound GP and Gordon Ryan versus Pat Downey. 2 matches, one in an ADCC rules scenario and one in a wrestling scenario.
But ADCC rules, I think, but submission only?
Yeah.
So no time limit, or maybe, yeah.
So Gordon Ryan beats Pat Downey via, what do you get him with? Like, Pat Downey just kind of submitted to being kind of quitting.
So Gordon basically takes the back and starts applying a power half Nelson.
After about like 18 or 19 minutes into the match, and then Downey, who's pretty exhausted at this point, like starts like tapping.
Yeah. And
then like the ref and everyone kind of ignores it because like, and then Downey like spits his mouthpiece out and they're like I'm done. And they kind of call it, and then that was the match. It's
a weird thing. I feel like it's almost like a denying the submission. Like,
well, it was weird because here are my thoughts on the match. Is what I'm guessing is Gordon Ryan was aiming to make Pat Downey so tired that when it came to the wrestling match, it would potentially be somewhat more competitive, and that's his pathway to victory. Gordon and Danaher are really good strategists, and I think that's if you're going to try to beat a guy at his game, you're beating a guy like Pat Downey. Pat Downey is an Olympic caliber U.S. wrestler. You have no shot against a guy like that in a discipline that's not your own. So what's your option? You make that dude so dead tired that he can't do anything, and then all of a sudden you have the cardio and you can maybe get something going against a guy who's dog dead tired. Pat Downey, I realized Gordon Ryan like wasn't aiming to submit him. And so just went, okay, like I got beat here. I'm done. I'm tired. Like he's not going to try to sub me. He's just like trying to make me tired here. Basically, he does the smart thing and go, cool, I quit. Like I'm done because you're not trying to sub me. So we're done. And then they get to the wrestling match, and Downey scores, I think it was 10 points to win. Is the tech fall rule. Scores 11 points in about a minute, and the whole ending sequence for Downey is about 20. Everyone's quoting as 20 seconds. It's a little more than 20 seconds, but like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And we learned nothing.
Yep.
It's what do you thought? It's like if I go against a professional fencer, like the fencer's going to beat me. It's like, what do we learn from this?
Yeah.
Gordon Ryan is not an Olympic caliber wrestler. If you thought he was, he's a good jiu-jitsu wrestler, but like they're different sports, completely different sports. Like they involve grappling and they have some similarities, and there's some things that cross over in each sport, but they're entirely different sports. And both guys are uncompetitive in the other sport.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it. And
yeah,
so we kind of learned, I honestly hope that because Pat Downey beat Gordon so quickly and kind of so uncompetitively in the freestyle, we see less of these matchups.
Yeah.
Like I really don't want to see this again.
The way that Pat scored the points predominantly, the first point scored was actually like taking Gordon down off the mat. That was 4 points off the bat in freestyle wrestling points. And then you also get a point every time you push someone out. And so, just racked up points very quickly.
And then he basically turns him over twice with just like, I do not know what the wrestling term is. I'm not a wrestler. Kind of like a gut wrench, sort of. But not gut wrench is on the mat. He just basically, there's a technique for it. I do not know what it's called. The video is floating around everywhere of Pat basically just rolling through and throwing Gordon over, and then does it again. And you get 2 points every time for back exposure to the mat. Gets 4 points and out. Scores 11 points total in 20 seconds. There's been a lot of controversy. Gordon Ryan has been very vocal online about a lot of things. I don't think it really paints everything in the best light, but that was the match this weekend. It was a wrestler versus jiu-jitsu guy. In jiu-jitsu, the jiu-jitsu guy wins. In wrestling, the wrestler guy wins. Unless you're Nicky Rod and you actually commit to jiu-jitsu, like most wrestlers are not going to be competitive in jiu-jitsu. Fuck, we've seen Ed Ruth like compete in jiu-jitsu and like did in the gi and like didn't win Blue Belt Worlds, and he won Blue Belt Worlds like the second year, I think, or something like that. Hudson Taylor's another one that like competes in the gi and like has done well, but they're different sports. I'm good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's all that needs to be said about it.
yeah,
You know,
if you want to watch it, they did a pay-per-view. It's interesting. If you're into that, I've kind of seen it.
yep.
Onto the not heavyweight GP, the 170-pound GP, Oliver Taza.
Jesus Christ, man, what a
Right?
fucking run.
Dude, Taza's good. Like,
yeah.
we've covered Taza, and it's funny. I think the funniest thing about this is that opposite side of the bracket, you have Oliver Taza and you have Ethan Cranston. And both ADCC guys, both TriStar guys, and they were on the same team, 2 weeks ago? For Parabellum Quintet?
Yep.
And it's like we talked about their matches there, and it was amazing. And then they both make it to the finals, and it goes to overtime, and Taza gets the wrist lock.
Fucking TriStar guys are so good, man.
Dude, but we talked about it earlier. We talked about Blank and Wardzinski. Like, Taza's been good. Cranston's been good. Both of those guys this year are getting better and
So,
better and better.
Krellinston, we did not get to see him in ADCC, but he
Got
qualified.
sick, didn't he? He beat Krikorian in. Did he beat Krikorian?
Yeah, he beat Kokorian
In
the
the
finals.
ADCC trials, in the East Coast trials, and then he beat him again at Shugio.
Yep.
And we were super hot on him. We've seen Cranston run through guys in the past. We've seen less of Taza. But more recently, we have seen Taza just rack up win after win after win, and like heel hook submission and top end submission and armbar submission, and like we are seeing him break out into
And
like the mainstream.
by the
for
way,
big level guys.
Like, yeah, we spoiled that Oliver Taza and Ethan Krellinston were in the finals with Oliver Taza winning, but Oliver Taza's march to the finals is nuts. Opening match, he submits PJ Barch.
With a heel hook in regulation, by the way.
That's
like
fucking
the guy
nuts.
that's known for being the leg lock guy and like known for again. I think Barch is just coming off of a leg injury, so I'm curious to see if that kind of played into this. But like you submit PJ Barch by heel hook, the thing that he is known for doing.
And then the next match, you beat John Combs. John Combs, who we've seen on a nasty tear lately. You know, we've really seen John Combs had an amazing match
By the same thing.
at
Heel hook in regulation.
Yeah, John Combs. We saw Kasai just fucking
Who did
dominate.
he fight at Kasai?
Let me look that up because it was a fucking awesome
It's
match.
killing me. Like we interviewed him after the fact, and he submitted Souza, didn't he?
I think
Was
so.
it Gabriel Souza? Not Gabriel. It was Gabriel. I think it was Gabriel Souza. It was Jacques Gabriel's brother, wasn't it? It was like it went back and forth on Gaudio. I remember it being a really good match and being really excited for it. But I remember he won. I don't remember who he fought.
Yeah, Pedro Rocha. Yep.
Pedro Rocha. Sorry, not Gabriel. Yeah, Pedro Rocha.
Yep.
Heel hook in regulation. Krellinston, had a little less of a quick path to victory. 2 overtime wins to get him to the finals. But dude, Taza's a monster. We see Taza on Third Coast coming up too.
Yeah.
Like one of the matches that Mo Jasson put together.
Definitely, keep an eye on.
We're
Oliver
gonna
Taza.
see him in ADCC in 2 years. Like it would not surprise me to have him either get an invitation spot with how he's been looking recently, or win a trial
Taza
spot.
was in ADCC.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it wouldn't surprise me to see him in there again.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Because
absolutely.
they're both, we've seen Krellinston and Taza. They're at that level. This again speaks to that. I think it's really impressive. The run both of these guys are on, and I'm super excited to see more of it.
Yeah, I mean, and clearly, it's iron sharpening iron here. These guys are fucking both TriStar. Just TriStar is obviously starting to build a huge talent pool in the grappling specific community.
Yeah.
Obviously they've been in a huge MMA gym for a long time. They have deep ties with John Danaher and Henzo's.
I think we have a bunch of guys from TriStar. We have a Pierre Leclerc is there. We have Taza. We have Krellinston. There's a couple of guys I know I'm missing. But guys pop up there all the time, and that talent pool is growing and growing and growing. I think we're going to start to see TriStar be another one of those big gyms that you see guys coming out of, more frequently. So
Absolutely.
super exciting. Awesome to see Taza get the win. I'm super excited to see what his DVD is going to be about, because I'm assuming that BJJ Fanatics also gave him a DVD deal as part of this, and I'm looking forward to that one.
Hell yeah.
Anything else on this mail? That does it. So on to our preview of Fight to Win 137. This one takes place in Denver, Colorado on March 6th. Starts at 4:54 a.m. I don't think that's correct. I hope that's not correct because that'll be one I have to watch. I can't watch live. This one's headlined by Roberto Jimenez versus Lucas the Hulk Barbosa.
Jesus, Roberto has been on a tear lately. I mean, he's only been a black belt for what, like a month or two now?
I think 3 months.
3 months?
Now.
Okay.
We're now into. He's been about 3 whole months, and he already has wins over Keenan Cornelius, Felipe Andrew, probably some other guys that I haven't watched the Kansas City Open.
Yeah.
Crazy good. I think this one is going to be interesting. I think
I am impressed with Roberto. I'm gonna go with Hulk. Hulk is the world champ.
Yeah.
Like he's battle tested. He's gone against the best.
Yeah.
And Atos they're brilliant. Like
the game planning in Atos is really outstanding. I think Roberto's going to come out hard, fast, and aggressive, and I feel like Lucas is going to slow him down. I feel like he's going to hit him with a really hard, like, snap down or like a judo throw entry.
Yeah.
Now, Roberto's quick enough since he can get around it.
We've seen Hulk basically do variations of, the train wreck, which is what the TLI guys call there, or if more traditional judo, the drop Morote Nage.
Yeah.
Like, the Morote
This one's in the
Nage.
gi as well.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. We haven't seen Hulk in the gi in a minute here. I don't
a little while, yeah. It's true.
Maybe since ADCC. Like it's been 6+ months, I think. If not almost a year.
Nah, I'm sure he's competed.
I don't think we've covered him in the gi on a super fight or on a Grand Prix or on a tournament or something.
I'm pretty sure we have.
I don't think so. But regardless, very, very interesting matchup. I am guessing here that we see Roberto at one point put Hulk in danger of taking the back. We see Hulk reverse, get back to the open guard. He's going to put Roberto down. Roberto's going to be playing open guard here, and Hulk is going to do a smash pass or not a throw by pass, but like a hip flop pass around, and then start to take ground on Roberto there and really level him into the mat. And slow him down a lot because I feel like Roberto, he's able to make guys move and move and move and move. And he's so young and he's so fast that I feel like Hulk will identify that and really start to slow that down and use kind of the veteran black belt that he is in order to kind of implement that.
Yeah, I don't think Hulk wants to get into a scramble competition with Jimenez because that's what
we just saw Keenan do that, and Roberto outpointed Keenan.
I just remember that. I just have these distinct memories of watching Jimenez as a brown belt and being like, who the fuck is this? He's just moving insanely fast. What we have seen Jimenez have a ton of success with, where I see the battle coming down to here is the Berimbolo, right? So we saw Jimenez really have a ton of success with the Berimbolo
versus Keenan,
and also one of his recent matches. I remember someone was talking shit on it, and we just talked about this a week or two ago. Anyway, Jimenez is really dangerous with the Berimbolo, and I think it was the Keenan match actually.
Okay,
because he's had just tremendous success with it, but the Atos guys,
the thing is, the Atos guys,
they're savvy to it. I don't think Hulk is going to try to beat him there. I do think he will be wise to it, and I would be surprised if the Berimbolo was effective against Hulk. I could see him disengaging and maybe eating a sweep out of it or something like that. But
especially in the fight to win rule set, he's much more likely to give up a position to fight out versus let the guy take his back, especially because we've seen Roberto has really, really good finishing on the back with the gi, like a guy like Felipe Andrew. So, I don't know. This is a really interesting one. I'm going to lean Hulk, but I think Roberto, in the areas that he's going to create the scrambles, has a little bit of an edge just because he's so tenacious in those scrambles, and he's looking to sub. He's looking to finish. He's looking, he has nothing to lose here.
Right.
And so I think it's always really dangerous when you deal with a young, hungry, really good black belt that also has nothing to lose versus a world champion in the gi. That's a rough matchup, especially a guy like Roberto we know brings it. So I'm excited for this one. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. Co-main event, welterweight black belt title match. Marcio Andre versus Michael Liera Jr.
We just saw Marcio Andre versus Jonathan Alves 2 weeks ago on the Artisan Invitational too. Looked really good versus Jonathan. It came to decision Marcio has the tools to get it done. Michael Lira just not split off from Matos, made it his own gym. I'm curious to see, how sharp he is with all the stress of opening a gym and, all of that going on. I think he's been open that long because he's listed under Logos Jiu-Jitsu, not Atos, but I think he actually is based in the Denver area. So now he's a hometown guy. Really interesting match. I could see it. I can see this one being a little bit of a slower one. Probably a really, really heavy grip contested battle. I think it's going to be a close, possibly a split decision. I feel like this one's going to be close. Next match.
Keep
going. We have a 195-pound black belt gi match.
Kevin Williams versus Jeff Ake.
We have a 195-pound black belt gi match. Jake Watson versus Hudson Mateus. We just saw Jake, I want to say, a couple weeks ago versus Rolando Jr., I think in the last Fight to Win event, and he took a pretty nice victory over Rolando. But Hudson is a different deal, dude. Hudson, 50-50 armbar, dude. He also does a lot of flying arm bars and...
Yeah, more than anyone, when I think of Hudson Mateus, I think of really calm, placid into explosive movement.
Yeah.
He will go from 0 to 100 in
And I have a feeling that's
heartbeat.
Potentially where this is going to go. I know Watson likes to play a heavy lapel game, likes to, I'm going to use the word overextend himself, but he is a very tall, very long guy, and he uses that reach very, very effectively. I'm curious to see if he's going to kind of reach into those spaces with Hudson, given that Hudson is known as such a flash sub guy on the joints.
Yeah.
Also, given Jake Watson's kind of game and the way that he sweeps and takes the back, using the lapel, especially versus Rolando, which is what we've seen him on most recently, I'm curious to see if Hudson has good counters built into that, or if Hudson's going to get kind of chalked up in the lapel game, or if he's going to just kind of continuously be able to throw subs around that. Really interesting match. I lean Hudson, but Jake definitely has the tools to get this one done if he can wrap him up. Sort of what he did with Rolando in the gi and slow that pace down and not really let Hudson just fire like we've seen him do in the past.
Absolutely.
Next match is a 160-pound black belt no-gi match.
Noah Thomas versus Marcus Wilson.
200-pound brown belt no-gi match.
Thomas Stevenson versus Bruce Bugby.
180-pound black belt gi match.
Jeremy Hastings versus Alex Lee.
140-pound black belt gi match.
Nikki Sullivan versus Aaron Johnson.
Love seeing Nikki Sullivan. She's always a lot of fun. 185-pound black belt gi match.
Steele McCall versus Evan Barrett.
140-pound black belt gi match.
Brett Hernandez versus YJ Lee.
160-pound black belt gi match.
Blake Dvorak versus Lucas de Oliveira Arujo.
We have a 155-pound purple belt no-gi title match.
Jaden Miller versus Brooke Mayo.
We also have I'll move up here. I think we're into the brown belts now. We have a 200-pound brown belt gi match.
Troy Everett versus Mike Costa.
Dude, he is not going to let Dom Hoskins take that most fight to win appearances title slowly. Troy just opened up a gym, Novamente, or not opened up. He took over a gym, Novamente, in Denver, Colorado, and this will be the first time that we've seen him no longer as a full member of Team Sleep, but as a guy from the Denver area coming in to put a show. And he's versus Mike Costa. Looking forward to that. Love seeing Troy. We have a 165-pound brown belt gi match. Former title holder Eric Coe versus James
Micus.
We also have, who else on the card? We also have a 150-pound brown belt no-gi match.
Dan Dykman versus Tyler Sperlin.
Also, the Denver cards are always great for Fight to Win. Most of the team for Fight to Win is based out of Denver, so they know the talent pool really well. The cards are always a lot of fun. There's usually a lot of subs in Denver cards, and the matchmaking is just always choice on the Denver cards. Really looking forward to this one. March 6th. Anything else, Emil?
No, that's it.
That does it. So, into the preview section again, we are talking about Copa Podio. Copa Podio is running an event in Sacramento, California. It is a under 88 kilogram event featuring 6 grapplers, Nick Green, Nathan Mendelsohn, 2 of the names in there. They're also featuring a lightweight GP with, who else? Johnny Tama's in there. A bunch of other guys and their Instagram handles are listed on this event as well. Looks like a lot of fun. It's on Fight TV. I think it's like $14. Also, this event has 2 super fights between Uriah Faber and Dustin Ortiz, and Danny Castillo and Carlos Arocha. So Fight to Win, not Fight to Win. Copa Podio coming to the U.S. I'm not sure if they've come to the U.S. before, so this might be the first time that they're actually doing a U.S.-based card. They've run really fun events in the past, so that happens this weekend. Also this weekend is Gordon Ryan. What's up?
Keep going, but
Okay.
I have a piece of information about that.
Gordon Ryan is going to be at the Arnold Classic for Grappling Industries. Grappling Industries every year goes to the Arnold Classic. I was actually going to go this year, but I got busy, so I didn't end up booking the flights because it was expensive. They're running a seminar as well there, and Gordon Ryan is going to enter the open class. So if you want a chance to fight Gordon Ryan and you are a regular dude or you think you're a top-level grappler that can take it to him, here's your shot, man. Enter the open class, put the money where your mouth is.
So here's there might be an asterisk with that. So
Okay.
The reason why I was actually talking with a coworker about this. This is going to sound like a weird tangent, but
I have no idea where you're going with this.
A major physics conference just got canceled. APS just got canceled as of Saturday, and he was talking about the Arnold Classic,
Yep.
and he mentioned that it might also be canceled due to coronavirus. So I just looked it up in news right now, and there's nothing about it being canceled. There are news articles about them screening all athletes.
Okay.
I have no idea what's going to happen. Like,
yeah, a week is a long time. I think that's March 7th is the date on that. It's March 7th is the date on that.
I don't know how much of an international crowd it draws, but like the
Arnold's it's a pretty big event. I mean, that's why I wanted to go, because it's a cool like bodybuilding expo. There's a lot of other really fun events there. In years past, I've known people that have gone. They've really enjoyed it. And
Right.
Grappling Industries runs a cool tournament there every year. And I was like, I'd love to go and do that.
Right.
And then Gordon Ryan's going to be there, and we talked to them. I think probably like when they first announced that.
So the
about
reason-
going out to cover that, and they were going to let us go and cover that. So
The reason why I brought up the APS conference getting canceled was that's a much smaller conference. And so the smaller
APS
conference
is what, 10,000?
Yeah, I think around 10,000.
The Arnold Classic is a giant expo. It's
Yeah.
one of the biggest fitness expos. It's like as big as the Europa.
Yeah.
Like it's huge.
Yeah. So who knows? We'll see if it actually ends up happening.
Yeah. Hope it does. I hope that coronavirus blows over really quickly and everything turns out well for that event. That's all I got. You got anything else?
No, that's it.
That does it for the preview section. Want to do the outro? So we actually just had to re-record a piece of the news here, so we're back now doing the outro section, all out of order as per usual on the Grappling. Actually, usually not out of order. We honestly now we're pretty good at doing the show in order and like professionally.
Hey, we just had some breaking news that we had to get into.
Yeah,
you know?
no, dude. Breaking news always happens at like Tuesday morning at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
It's like, awesome, the show came out. Or Emil will leave, and then it's like, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like editing the podcast, and I'm looking like this thing pops up. You seen this? Like, nope, that's major breaking news that we're going to then talk about in 7 days and 4 hours.
Yep.
Awesome. So for once, breaking news happens literally as we're doing the podcast. So what else you got? You in next week?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No business travel for you. Are you excited? This is the longest non-series of business travel we've
especially
had
with
forever.
fucking coronavirus running around with goddamn zombie
Yeah,
plague.
I'm actually kind of concerned. I'm looking at going to Houston in 2 weeks here to cover Third Coast. And actually, they just announced they're doing a Royal Rumble on that card. 10 men enter, 1 man leave. New man every, I think, minute or 20 seconds, something like that. First to score or sub, and you stay in. So that'll be... that's going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
But that's what Royal Rumbles. I can't say that
Royal
word.
Rumbles.
Royal Rumble. That's what they are. So we'll talk about that probably next week in the news section. But yeah, I'm looking at booking flights down to go down there, and I'm actually kind of concerned about that level of travel.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah.
They're straight up quarantining some travel areas internationally. So.
Yeah, it's getting a little sketch.
Yeah, dog.
So I'm basically gonna make the decision today or tomorrow if I'm gonna book that flight or not. And we will see. So happy you're not traveling for once, and then coming to the house to record.
Yeah, I can just give you the regular cold as opposed to whatever the fuck.
Dude, everyone's sick recently too. It's like no one has the flu around me, which is awesome. But enough people are like, I have a head cold, I have a sick cold. It's like, oh man, we can just get to summer and like have everything be warm and not flu. That would be awesome.
So Viana had H1N1 a few weeks ago.
That's swine flu.
And to give you an idea
I
of
had
like
that.
how bad it was, Viana didn't go into work for like 3 days.
Wow,
Which
he was
is-
dying.
Yeah, he was dying basically.
Dude, I had that back in 2009. I got literally like not like, oh, I had the flu. Like I got diagnosed and I got the swine flu, and it was some of the most atrocious days of my life. And when you get the influenza, you go from being healthy to being insanely sick in a about 6 hours. So if like, like, oh, I got flu.
You go to like Russian
No.
peasants circa 1890.
You get influenza. And it's like, oh, God. So I feel that if you are sick, stay out of the gym, please.
Yeah, for real. Like, I started getting this cough, and I was like, all right, like, I'm going to minimize exposure as much as I can.
Yeah.
It's a dick move. Like, Lizzie didn't understand that. She was like, can't you just, like, go and power through? And I was like,
yes, I totally can, but I don't want to get everyone I train with and their families and everyone. Like, I don't want to be the guy that comes into the gym sick and gets everyone else sick. Like, if you are sick, stay home, please.
Yeah, for real.
Like, there'll be other gym wars the next day to go to. Like, stay home. I'm getting a little antsy. I've been out of disease research now for about 5 years, and I feel like I didn't get this antsy when I used to work in it, and now that I don't work in it, I'm like I'm a little more removed. I'm not quite up to date. Like, I'm getting information from like the news now as opposed to like my colleagues, which is way more scary.
Yeah.
Because my colleagues will like filter the information and like let me know what the studies say and what everything says. Now I'm getting it from the news, and I'm like, I have no idea if this information is valid or not.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. So stay healthy, man.
Yeah, dude.
Especially you, man.
Dude, I'm always sick. It's atrocious. My back's getting better, and I'm scheduled to compete in April, so I'm happy about that.
Fuck yeah.
Anything else, Emil?
That's it.
All right. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine.
And I'm your co-host, Emil.
And we are the Grappling Rewind. We'll see you on the mats. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.